The Hermetica, Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs. The last words of thrice great Hermes. Wise words, although written by my decaying hand, remain imperishable through time, imbued with the medicine of immortality by the All-Master. Be unseen and undiscovered by all those who will come and go, wandering the wastelands of life. Be hidden until an older heaven births human beings who are worthy of your wisdom. Having sounded this prayer over the words of his hands, Hermes was received in the sanctuary of eternity. The Hermetica is a collection of writings attributed to Thoth, a mythical ancient Egyptian sage whose wisdom is said to have transformed him into a god. Thoth, who was veneered into Egypt from the last 3000 BCE, is credited with the invention of sacred hieroglyphic writing, and his figure portrayed as a scribe with the head of an ibis can be seen in many temples and tombs. He is a decipher of divine messages and recorder of all human deeds. In the great hall of judgment, the afterlife, court of the god Osiris, Thoth would establish wherever the deceased had acquired spiritual knowledge and purity, and so deserved a place in the heavens. Thoth was said to have revealed to the Egyptians all knowledge on astronomy, agriculture, or architecture, geometry, medicine, and religion, and was believed by the ancient Greeks to be the architect of the pyramids. The Greeks, who were in awe of the knowledge and the spirituality of the Egyptians, identified Thoth with their own god Hermes, the messenger of the gods and the guide for souls in the realm of the dead. To distinguish the Egyptian Hermes from their own, they gave him the title I can't never pronounce this. Trismegistus, meaning thrice great, to honor his sublime wisdom. The books attributed to him become collectively known as the Hermetica. Although largely unknown today, the writings attributed to Hermes Thoth have been immensely important in history of Western thought. They profoundly influenced the Greeks, and through their rediscovery in the 15th century Florence, helped to inspire the Renaissance, which gave birth to our modern age. The list of people who have acknowledged the debt of Hermetica read like a who's who of the greatest philosophers, scientists, and artists that the West has produced. Leonardo da Vinci, and the list goes on. Some of these I know their names, but you're going to have to read their names. Get the book and read it. They're all poet philosophers who surrounded their court of Queen Elizabeth I, as well as founding scientists of the Royal Society in London, and even the leaders who inspired the Protestant Reformation in Europe. The list is endless, with the Hermetica's influence reaching well beyond the front lines of Europe. Islamic mystics and philosophers also trace their inspiration back to thrice great Hermes. and the esoteric tradition of the Jews equated him with their mysterious prophet Enoch. The Hermetica is cornerstone of Western culture. In substance and importance, it is equal to well-known Eastern scriptures like the Upanishad's and the I can't pronounce these words, but it's the Hinduism. I'll try to edit this video and put on the words so you can, if you can pronounce them, you can read them and stuff. But I'll have to do that eventually. I can't do that right now, but I will eventually. Remember, please donate to help me keep this channel going. I'm going Monday to look for a job at a place where my wife's dad works. He said that I'd probably get a job there, so I'm going to go up there Monday and hopefully I can work there, and then until I can make this my full-time job. Hey. And the Tao Te Ching. Yet unlike these texts, which are now readily available and widely read, the works of Hermes have been lost under the dead weight of academic translations, Christian prejudice, and occult obscurities. Until now, no simplified tendering of these writings has been available to the general reader. All previous versions in the English language are very dense, impenetrable, and loaded down with notes and subtext that make them difficult to digest. This new version, however, makes this ancient wisdom more easily accessible. It presents carefully selected extracts of the Hermetic text, linked together into a narrative and rendered into easily understood English. What emerges is an inspiring and illuminating taste of a forgotten classic. The history of the Hermetica. The early origins of the Hermetica are shrouded in mystery, but the evidence suggests it is a direct descendant of the ancient philosophy of the Egyptians. However, the handful of surviving works attributed to Hermes are not written in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, but in Greek, Latin, and Coptic. They were collated in the city of Alexandria in Egypt during the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE. Here, the Hermetica philosophy helped inspire some of the greatest intellectual achievements of the ancient world. Alexandria was a great century of learning, surpassing even Athens. Its founder, Alexander the Great, had conquered and united Greece, Persia, Egypt, and India into one vast empire. Cultures that had grown up more or less independently were brought together, and there was no bigger melting pot than Alexandria. Into this new universal city, cosmopolitus, poured men and women of every race and nation: Greeks, Jews, Egyptians, Babylonians, Phoenicians, and even Buddhists from India, associated together in relative peace. Alexandrians were renowned for their thirst for knowledge, and under the enlightened Greek ruler Ptolemy I, a library and museum were founded where human beings first systematically collected the wisdom of the world. At its height, the Library of Alexandria housed some 500,000 scrolls. These included the works of Euclid, Archimedes, and the astronomer Ptolemy, who, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing these. Sorry. Like I say, I'll eventually try to edit this and put the right names and stuff. Where was I? Who dominated the spheres of geometry, mathematics, and geography, respectively, until well into the Middle Ages. It contained the researches of some name of Samos, who had shown the Earth is one of the planets orbiting the Sun, and Aristoteles, who had calculated the circumference of the Earth to within a few percent. Scientists of the library knew about the precision of the equinoxes, and that the moon was responsible for the rhythm of the tides. Alexandria was also rich in esoteric knowledge. Pythagoreanism, Chaldean oracles, Greek myths, Platonic and Stoic philosophy, Judaism, Christianity, and Greek mystery schools, Zoroastrianism, astrology, alchemy, Buddhism, and of course the ancient Egyptian religion were all practiced, studied, compared, and discussed. The golden age of Alexandria came to an end with the birth of the intolerant Christian Holy Roman Empire. Despite the sophistication and cultural achievements of the ancients, the Christians referred to them dismissively as pagans, which means country dwellers. In 415 CE, Hypatia, one of the last great scientists of pagan philosophers working at the Library of Alexandria, was seized by a mob of Christians who removed her flesh with scallop shells and burnt her remains. Their leader, Bishop Cyril, was later canonized. Saint Cyril. The great library was finally destroyed, as so much pagan suspicion and this wealth of knowledge was scattered to the four winds. The Christian Roman Empire, Thaddeus, closed pagan temples across the empire and began the previously unknown phenomenon of book burning. For the West, the 5th century ushered in a 1,000-year period approximately known as the Dark Ages. The Hermetica in Islam. History shows that wherever the works of Hermes have been studied and venerated, civilizations have flourished. Pagan scholars and sages fled to the newly emerging Arab culture, taking their knowledge in the Hermetica writings with them. 200 years later, the Muslims created an empire whose learning and scientific achievements were unsurpassed. By the beginning of the 9th century, the first university was established in Baghdad, called the House of Wisdom. Here, many pagan works were translated. The sciences that had reached such heights in Alexandria were significantly developed, and the ancient pagan spiritual wisdom was covertly studied and practiced. From its exalted position amongst the sacred scriptures of Egyptian spirituality, the Hermetica became the secret inspiration for an important undercurrent of Islamic philosophy and the holy book of the unorthodox religion sects such as the Sabanese. We would never have heard of mysterious Sabanese had they not come into conflict with the religious authorities of their day. Several centuries after the death of its founder, Muhammad, Islam was beginning to succumb to the same desire for orthodoxy that had arisen in the Christian West. Hermetics were to be rooted out, if necessary, with violence. In 830 CE, a powerful caliph was passing through the city of Haran when he noticed a strangely dressed Sabanese and questioned their leaders. Asked to produce the sacred text, they returned with the books of Hermes. The genius philosopher, scientist Talbot, can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry, was a Sabian who in 810 CE wrote the following rousing defense of Hermetic paganism. We are all heirs of photographers of paganism. Happy is he who, for the sake of paganism, bears the burden of persecution with firm hope. Who else have civilized the world and built cities if not the nobles and kings of paganism? Who else have set in order the harbors and the rivers? And who else have taught the hidden wisdom? To whom else has the deity revealed itself, given oracles, and told about the future, if not the famous men amongst the pagans? The pagans have made known all of this. They have discovered the art of healing the body. They have also made known the art of healing the soul. They have filled the earth with settled forms of government and with wisdom, which is the highest good. Without paganism, the world would be empty and miserable. So I'm going to redo this.